Each morning presents us with a quiet, yet profound opportunity. The chance to be just a little better than we were the day before. It's not about giant leaps or sudden transformations, it's about the small, almost imperceptible improvements that accumulate over time, creating a powerful momentum. The philosophy of improving yourself by 1% every morning is a subtle revolution, a gentle call to consistent action that changes the course of your life quietly but decisively. Imagine waking up tomorrow and doing something, anything, that nudges you just slightly forward. A single page read from a book, 5 minutes of mindful breathing, jotting down your priorities, or simply standing in gratitude. These are not grand acts, they don't demand extraordinary effort or time. But they plant seeds, small yet potent seeds that when nurtured daily, blossom into remarkable growth. This 1% improvement is a daily deposit into the bank of your future self. When you commit to this tiny daily growth, it becomes a habit that reshapes your identity. The person who once struggled with discipline, procrastination, or doubt starts evolving into someone more resilient, more focused, and more hopeful. The real transformation happens not through dramatic overnight success, but through the quiet persistence of doing a little better every day. Your habits, your mindset, and your actions begin aligning with a higher version of yourself, one that emerges naturally through incremental progress. This approach respects the reality of life's unpredictability. We all face distractions, setbacks, and moments of low energy. Expecting massive progress every day is unrealistic and often discouraging. But 1% improvement, that's achievable even on the hardest mornings. It's forgiving and flexible. Some days the improvement might be invisible to anyone else, but it matters deeply to you. It builds your self-trust and your sense of agency because you know you are moving forward, no matter how small the step. Over time, these tiny changes compound like interest on an investment. The magic lies in the math of consistency. Improving 1% each day sounds modest, yet over weeks, months, and years, it yields exponential growth. What feels negligible at the moment turns into a profound transformation, a stronger body, a sharper mind, a calmer heart. The journey of these 1% increments is less about the destination and more about becoming someone who naturally grows, adapts, and flourishes. Moreover, this mindset shifts the focus from outcomes to processes. Instead of obsessing over a specific goal, it encourages cultivating daily habits that foster growth. It teaches patience and kindness toward yourself, recognizing that meaningful change is a marathon, not a sprint. It embraces imperfection and the beauty of continuous effort, inviting you to show up each day and simply do what you can. The power of improving yourself 1% every morning is a reminder that greatness is not reserved for a few, but accessible to anyone willing to embrace the steady rhythm of progress. It is a celebration of the humble act of choosing growth over stagnation, action over inertia. Each morning becomes a fresh page, an invitation to write a better story than yesterday, one small sentence at a time. This is the quiet strength that builds confidence, mastery, and fulfillment. A life lived not in leaps and bounds but in meaningful, deliberate steps forward. Each morning arrives quietly, like a blank page inviting a fresh start. It carries within it the potential for transformation, not in grand gestures or overwhelming resolutions, but in small, deliberate actions that over time shape who we become. The idea of improving yourself by just 1% every morning is powerful precisely because it recognizes the value of these tiny shifts. It honors the truth that lasting change is not built in a day, but through consistent, incremental progress. Consider for a moment what it means to improve by 1%. It could be as simple as reading a few more lines of a book, stretching your body a little longer, or pausing to breathe more deeply before rushing into the day. These acts seem insignificant on their own, almost invisible, yet they are the gentle drops of water that carve out deep canyons over time. This small improvement is not about perfection or pressure, it's about showing up for yourself with intention. It is a commitment to growth that fits seamlessly into the rhythms of daily life. When you wake each morning with the mindset of becoming 1% better, you begin to cultivate a new way of seeing your day. The morning becomes a sacred window, a fresh opportunity to step closer to the person you aspire to be. This slight shift in perspective can transform your relationship with time and effort. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the distance to your goals, you focus on manageable steps. This focus grounds you and creates a sense of agency. You start to realize that change is within reach because it is created by the sum of small, consistent actions. This philosophy also acknowledges the ebb and flow of human energy and motivation. There will be days when enthusiasm is high and progress feels effortless. On other days, you may struggle with distractions, fatigue, or doubt. The beauty of the 1% improvement concept is that it embraces this reality. It doesn't demand perfection or heroic effort every single day. Instead, it invites you to do what you can, even if it's just a little bit. This flexibility makes growth sustainable because it removes the pressure to be all in or to wait for ideal conditions. The cumulative effect of these small improvements is profound, like compound interest in finance, where money grows exponentially over time. Personal growth accelerates through consistent, small wins. Each morning's 1% improvement builds upon the last, creating momentum that propels you forward. This momentum nurtures confidence and resilience as you witness yourself moving steadily in a positive direction. Over weeks and months, what once seemed impossible or distant becomes natural and attainable. Focusing on incremental growth also changes how you measure success. Instead of fixating on distant goals or results, you shift your attention to daily habits and routines. This process-oriented mindset encourages patience and self-compassion. It acknowledges that growth is rarely linear and that setbacks are part of the journey, not reasons to quit. The act of improving yourself by 1% every morning becomes a practice of mindfulness, self-awareness, and deliberate intention. When these small improvements accumulate, they start to shape your identity. You are no longer someone who occasionally tries to change, but a person who steadily grows and evolves. This gradual transformation fosters a deeper sense of purpose and satisfaction, because it is built on authentic progress rather than fleeting bursts of motivation. In this way, the seemingly modest goal of 1% improvement each morning becomes a powerful catalyst for lasting change. When you commit to improving yourself by just 1% every morning, you begin to create a powerful habit that quietly reshapes your identity. This approach is not about dramatic overnight success or sudden, sweeping transformations. Rather, it is about the steady accumulation of small wins that, over time, redefine who you are at your core. The person who once struggled with inconsistency, self-doubt, or lack of focus begins to evolve into someone more disciplined, confident, and aligned with their true potential. The true power of this mindset lies in the way habits influence identity. Our daily actions are not random. They are reflections of how we see ourselves and what we believe we are capable of. When you choose to improve yourself by a small amount each morning, you reinforce the idea that growth is part of who you are. This consistent effort becomes a form of self-expression, a daily declaration that you are someone committed to becoming better. Over time, these choices shape your self-image, turning growth from a goal into an intrinsic part of your character. This process of identity shift is subtle yet profound. At first, improving by 1% might feel trivial or inconsequential. It may be as simple as spending a few extra minutes organizing your day, practicing gratitude, or reflecting on your progress. But each small action signals to your brain that you are someone who values growth and improvement. The brain, which constantly adapts to reinforced patterns, starts to adopt this new identity. Your thoughts, decisions, and behaviors begin aligning with the image of a person who takes incremental steps toward their goals daily. When your identity shifts, so does your motivation. Rather than relying solely on external rewards or fleeting bursts of willpower, you become driven by a deeper internal alignment. The desire to maintain consistency grows stronger because it feels natural and authentic. You no longer see growth as a chore or an obligation, but as a meaningful part of who you are. This internal motivation is far more sustainable than motivation based on temporary excitement or pressure from external circumstances. Moreover, the habit of improving by 1% every morning builds resilience. Life is unpredictable, filled with obstacles and challenges that can easily derail even the most determined individuals. But when small improvements become habitual, they provide a steady anchor. On difficult days when motivation wanes or setbacks occur, the commitment to just a 1% improvement feels manageable and forgiving. This creates a buffer against discouragement, allowing you to keep moving forward even when conditions aren't perfect. This steady identity transformation also influences how you approach challenges. Instead of avoiding difficulties out of fear or frustration, you begin to see them as opportunities for growth. The mindset of incremental improvement encourages experimentation, learning, and adaptation. When you embrace the idea that each day is a chance to improve just a little, failure loses its sting. Mistakes become valuable feedback, guiding your next 1% step rather than halting your progress altogether. Through this ongoing process, the cumulative effect of small daily improvements shapes not just your habits, but your overall sense of self. You start to identify as a person who is capable, proactive, and consistently growing. This evolving identity supports further growth by creating a positive feedback loop. Your improved habits reinforce your identity, and your strengthened identity motivates continued improvement. This cycle leads to a deeper transformation where growth becomes an effortless, natural part of your life experience. This approach to growth respects the natural rhythm of life, acknowledging that energy, motivation, and focus fluctuate from day to day. Expecting ourselves to make giant strides or perfect progress every single day is unrealistic and often leads to frustration or burnout. The commitment to improving yourself by just 1% each morning is designed with compassion and practicality in mind. It allows room for imperfection and honors the reality of human experience. Life's unpredictability means some days will be easier than others. There will be mornings when you wake up feeling energized, clear-headed, and ready to take on challenges. On these days, your 1% improvement might feel effortless, perhaps even more than 1%, but there will also be mornings when exhaustion, stress, or distractions cloud your mind, making any progress seem difficult or insignificant. The beauty of the 1% mindset is that it doesn't demand heroics every day. It encourages you to do what you can, no matter how small that effort might be. This flexibility transforms the idea of growth from a rigid requirement into a sustainable habit. It removes the pressure to perform at your peak all the time and replaces it with a gentle invitation to keep moving forward. Even on difficult days, the commitment to a small, manageable step forward cultivates resilience. You learn to value consistency over intensity, understanding that what truly matters is showing up regularly, not the magnitude of each individual effort. The forgiving nature of this mindset also reduces the fear of failure and the tendency toward perfectionism. When improvement is measured in tiny increments, the stakes feel lower. Missing a day or slipping up doesn't become a catastrophic setback. Instead, it's simply a minor detour on the path. This perspective encourages persistence because you recognize that growth is a marathon, not a sprint. The goal is progress, not perfection, and this awareness allows you to be kinder to yourself throughout the process. By embracing the idea of 1% improvement daily, you build a mental environment where patience and self-compassion thrive. You learn to appreciate the small wins and see them as essential building blocks rather than insignificant blips. Each small victory accumulates, creating a sense of momentum and accomplishment that fuels further progress. This mindset fosters a positive feedback loop. The more you improve, even slightly, the more motivated you become to keep improving. In addition, this approach helps shift focus away from immediate results to long-term development. Instead of obsessing over outcomes or rushing to reach a final goal, you start to value the process itself. The act of daily improvement becomes its own reward, encouraging mindfulness and presence. You begin to recognize the importance of steady effort, knowing that true transformation unfolds gradually through repetition and patience. This kind of mindset naturally cultivates a deeper sense of balance in life. By allowing yourself to improve just a little each day, you avoid the extremes of burnout and stagnation. You develop a rhythm that aligns with your natural energy cycles, honoring both productivity and rest. This harmony makes growth sustainable and enjoyable, rather than exhausting or overwhelming. Ultimately, by being gentle with yourself and embracing the small, daily steps forward, you create an environment where meaningful change can flourish. The 1% improvement mindset recognizes that growth is not about drastic upheaval but about steady, manageable progress that respects your humanity and the ebb and flow of life's demands. The cumulative effect of small, consistent improvements is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth. Much like compound interest in finance, where tiny gains build upon each other to create exponential wealth, incremental progress in self-improvement leads to exponential growth over time. This principle reveals why focusing on improving yourself by just 1% every morning can create profound transformations that might otherwise seem impossible when looking only at short-term efforts. When you improve by 1% today, that improvement doesn't just exist in isolation. It adds to the progress you made yesterday and the day before, building momentum that propels you forward. This momentum grows stronger as each small step compounds, creating a force that eventually feels effortless. What once required deliberate effort becomes a natural part of your routine and identity. The power of compounding progress shows that the key to lasting change isn't sudden, dramatic shifts but patient, steady growth. This understanding changes how we approach our goals and challenges. Instead of trying to overhaul our lives in one overwhelming burst of energy, we learn to appreciate the significance of tiny actions repeated consistently. For example, reading one page of a book daily may seem negligible in isolation, but over a year it results in finishing several books and expanding your knowledge substantially. Similarly, practicing a skill for a few minutes each day gradually builds mastery that feels impossible when imagined all at once. The compounding nature of small improvements also builds confidence. As you witness yourself moving forward each day, even by a fraction, you begin to trust your ability to grow and evolve. This trust fuels further effort, creating a virtuous cycle of progress and motivation. The knowledge that your efforts accumulate over time provides a sense of control and optimism, counteracting feelings of stagnation or overwhelm. Another important aspect is how this compounding growth helps build resilience. Challenges, setbacks, and failures become less intimidating when you see them as part of a larger, ongoing process. Even if progress stalls or reverses temporarily, the overall trend remains upward due to consistent small improvements. This long-term perspective helps you maintain focus and persistence through difficult times, knowing that the steady accumulation of effort will ultimately pay off. It's also worth noting how the principle of compounding influences mindset. Instead of seeking instant gratification or quick fixes, you develop patience and a long-term view. You start to value habits and systems over singular goals, recognizing that true change emerges from the daily choices and behaviors that build up over time. This shift encourages a healthier relationship with growth, one that celebrates process and progress rather than fixating solely on outcomes. Moreover, the compounding effect encourages mindfulness and intentionality. Since each small improvement matters, you become more conscious of your daily actions and decisions. You begin to see how simple adjustments, like choosing healthier food, dedicating time to learning, or managing stress, create ripple effects that influence your entire life. This awareness empowers you to take control of your habits, knowing that even minor positive changes accumulate into significant results. Through the lens of compounding progress, improving yourself by 1% every morning transforms from a small habit into a powerful strategy for growth. It reveals how consistent effort, no matter how modest, is the foundation of extraordinary transformation. The challenge and opportunity lie in embracing the process, trusting that these tiny steps will multiply into a future version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled. Shifting the focus from outcomes to processes is a fundamental change in how we approach growth and achievement. When you concentrate on improving yourself by just 1% every morning, the emphasis moves away from obsessing over distant goals or immediate results and toward cultivating daily habits and routines that foster steady progress. This shift in mindset allows you to engage more fully with the present moment and appreciate the small steps that build the foundation for lasting change. Focusing on the process rather than the outcome encourages patience. In a world that often celebrates instant success and quick wins, it's easy to become frustrated when results don't appear immediately. However, when you anchor your efforts in daily improvement, no matter how small, you learn to value the journey itself. Each action becomes meaningful, not because of what it produces right now, but because it is part of a larger pattern of growth. This perspective helps to reduce anxiety and impatience, allowing you to stay committed even when progress feels slow. This process-oriented mindset also fosters self-compassion. When your primary concern is the daily habit or effort, you give yourself permission to be imperfect. You recognize that setbacks, mistakes, and off days are natural parts of any journey. Instead of harshly judging yourself for not reaching a goal overnight, you treat yourself kindly, understanding that progress is made through consistent practice, not perfection. This attitude builds emotional resilience and helps maintain motivation over the long term. By embracing the process, you also cultivate mindfulness. Paying attention to the small actions and choices you make each day deepens your awareness of what truly matters. You start noticing how tiny shifts, like spending a few minutes organizing your space, reflecting on your thoughts, or simply choosing to act instead of procrastinate, contribute to your overall well-being and growth. This increased awareness creates a positive feedback loop where mindful action leads to better decisions and more intentional living. The process-focused approach naturally encourages experimentation and learning. When the goal is to improve bit by bit, you become more open to trying new things, making adjustments, and learning from feedback. Instead of fearing failure or avoiding challenges, you see them as opportunities to refine your approach and grow stronger. This mindset fosters curiosity and creativity, allowing you to adapt and thrive in changing circumstances. Moreover, concentrating on daily habits and processes helps build consistency, which is essential for long-term success. Goals can sometimes feel overwhelming or distant, causing motivation to wane. But when the focus is on simple, manageable actions repeated regularly, the path becomes clearer and more achievable. This consistency forms the backbone of meaningful transformation, as repeated actions become habits and habits shape your identity. The shift from outcome to process also encourages a healthier relationship with success. Success is no longer a one-time event or a destination but an ongoing practice. It becomes about becoming the kind of person who continually strives to improve, learn, and grow. This redefinition removes the pressure to arrive at a fixed point and instead invites you to embrace lifelong growth as a source of fulfillment and joy. By prioritizing process over outcome, you build a sustainable framework for personal development. You create a rhythm of daily improvement that is realistic, compassionate, and empowering. This approach supports deeper engagement with your goals and a richer experience of progress, making the journey of growth itself a rewarding part of your life.